that you guys can hear me. So if somebody would not mind going into either the question box or into the chat box and just let me know that you can see me, you can hear me, and let me know if that's working. Okay, give me a second here. Okay. So, and of course, all right, thank you everybody for letting me know. Sounds good. Oh wow, thank you. A whole bunch of people saying that you can see me. All right, so now I got to stop messing. And of course, okay, here we go. So welcome everybody. Today we are going to be talking about the one marketing tool that I believe every business should have. Let me go back here for a second. I'm sorry, every time I push something or I click something, it's breaking something else. So let me just get this figured out here real quick. So a couple of housekeeping items. We're going to go about 45 minutes, and then I'll open it up for some Q&A. And all you've got to do is just put your questions into the question box, and I will be happy to answer any and all of your questions. And I do want to do one thing before we get started here. For those of you that are on, we got a lot of people on today, which is good. So I'm going to let you know about an email that's going to be coming to you within the next few days about an event that we are doing outside of Philadelphia on February 22nd. February 22nd. That's a Wednesday. It's a one-day event that you are not going to want to miss. For any of you that participated in Accelerate 2016, the 3-day telesummit, well, I've been threatening for a couple of years that we're going to do a live Accelerate event. And guess what? We've got it. It's put together. It has not been promoted outside of just some of my one-on-one clients. But this is going to be a killer event. Be on the lookout in the next couple of days for an email with a link to send you over there to learn more about it. It's going to be, like I said, I'm really excited about it. It's not like anything that's in the home improvement industry, I don't think. And it's going to be a pretty killer event, all about more leads, more sales, and more profit. The other thing that I will tell you about is you've probably noticed this is the first webinar of the year. Let me get a few of these housekeeping items and just let you know about some of the stuff that's available to you. So you may have noticed that we're starting to use this Wealthy Contractor branding a lot more. The Wealthy Contractor now is turning into, so we've got a podcast. You can just go to iTunes, put in the Wealthy Contractor, and go hit subscribe. We've had a lot of reaction to that. We've got, I believe we've got 3 or 4 episodes up now, and there are more coming. There'll be at least 2 per month that are going to be going up, that are going to be as part of the podcast. And then, of course, there is the email newsletter, and then there's the print newsletter with the Wealthy Contractor. And there's some other stuff. We've got these webinars and things. But just make sure you're looking out this year, especially 2017. Just look out for all of the cool stuff that's going to be available to you. And it's almost, I think almost all of it is like free of charge, except for like the Accelerate event, which is, you know, barely anything, but most everything is free. So I hope that you will take advantage of those resources. All right, so let's get going here. I'm going to move that aside, and we'll get going here. So the one marketing tool every business must have. Let's see here. There we go. So I think that we can all agree going into 2017 that marketing and lead generation really is not getting any less expensive. It's not getting any easier. And I was talking with a client yesterday, a big client. They do almost 2,000 jobs a year, and his thing is, and they're, you know, very good at marketing and lead generation. He made this comment to me. He said, Brian, it's getting harder to get my reps to the kitchen table. And so that was, I wanted to put that in there because this is a problem we all need to, it's something we all need to face. It's all something we need to tackle. And so let's talk a little bit about advertising and lead generation and how to create successful advertising, marketing, and lead generation. Now, I first learned this from this book called The Ultimate Marketing Plan from my mentor, Dan Kennedy. Now, I'm going to do a brief kind of summary here of the market message media concept. I have other webinars where I've gone deep into this that if you want access to, just let us know and we'll send you links to those webinars. But basically, here's how you create successful advertising. Number one, you select your market. The who. Who am I going to? Who am I targeting? How old are they? How much money do they make? Where do they live? What do they have in common with my other customers? This is critical. This is critical because you don't want to go to, for example, you don't want to send your advertising and your marketing to a 24-year-old that lives in an apartment. Let's say that's an extreme, right? We want homeowners that are of a certain age, that probably live in a certain neighborhood, that spend their time and money on certain activities, right? And so that is the who. Very important. We got to know who. Then we got to know and develop the message. So what is the message that's going to this particular audience? You know, every audience has a little different message that will attract them. And so for example, you know, giving the same example, you don't want to talk to the 24-year-old apartment dweller selling them whatever widget you're selling them the same way you're going to talk to a 55-year-old homeowner, right? There are different messages. And so messaging is really all about what are you doing to get their attention, get them engaged, and present a solution to a problem that they have. And do it in a way where they respond to you hopefully right away. Pick up the phone right away, call, go online, fill out a form. That's message. So you've got market, message, and there has to be a very good match there, right? The last piece of this, the third piece of the triangle, is the media. The media is how are you getting to them? So right now, you know, people ask me all the time, well, Brian, what's working? My answer is always the same. Always the same answer. Everything is working. I have clients that are using every media that there is. And different clients are making different media work. So I have some clients that do great on TV. I have some clients that can't use TV. I have some clients that are doing great in canvassing. With some clients, there's no way that canvassing will ever work for them. Some people are killing it on the internet. Some people are barely getting by on the internet, right? This client I spoke with yesterday is having some real issues generating good quality leads online, and he's got a bunch of money to spend, right, online, but he's just not being able to get the traction that he needs. It's a people problem, but you understand that's a media, okay? The internet is a media, it needs to be treated as such, okay? So in order to create successful advertising, just as a quick recap, who are we going to? What is the message we are using to get them to respond to our offer, our call to action, and then how are we getting to them, right? TV, canvas, direct mail, internet, whatever, okay? So when we talk about the who, we want to talk about who is your customer, right? And I want you to think about this. I'm going to give you a minute here to just kind of think about, if we were doing this in a workshop setting, I'd actually start having you write some of this stuff down. And if you're in a place where you can do that, but think about who your customer is right now. Think about the last 5 people you sold, the last 10. Who is your typical customer? Just started thinking about that. How old are they? What age group are they in? Are they in kind of the same socioeconomic place, right? Do they have anything in common? For example, here's a funny example. I use this every once in a while. When the kids were little, we in California, there was this water park that we would take them to. And one of the times that I went, I didn't go a lot, mostly Addie went, but there was one time when I went there, I don't know how or why I noticed this, but in that parking lot, I swear every other car this was 10 years ago or more, and I don't remember the name, but it was the Honda big, like, not SUV, minivan. It was a Honda minivan. I forget what it was called, but I swear to God, every other car was this damn Honda minivan. So if I'm the marketer for that water park, you know what I'm doing? I'm buying a list of people that own that damn Honda minivan, and I'm marketing the hell out of that list. That's how you got to get with the who. All right, so you've thought about your who. So let me take some guesses here, and you can throw comments back to me in again, either in the chat box or in the question box. But let's take a guess. Your typical customer obviously is a homeowner, right? We're talking residential remodeling here. If you're doing mostly commercial work and all that, obviously that's a different conversation. Let's just be clear, we're talking about residential remodeling here. So homeowner, very important. My guess is that age-wise, they're going to be somewhere in their late 40s to late 60s is the age group that they're in, and probably even more skewing older, right? If you were to map them out, like if we do this for a client, we'll actually map out where they live. My guess is they live in kind of pockets, right? That's your customer, right? So here's something really interesting. Does anybody, and I don't see anybody saying anything to the contrary of what I just said. So my guess is that my observation is correct, right? So this is interesting. I was just made aware of this yesterday, so I had to scramble to actually find, because I've known this just from my research and my work with clients. I know this to be true, but now look, this is a study. Now it's about a year old, but it's not old. It's the same today as it was back then. Look at how interesting this article is, and I pulled some of the quotes out for you. Millennials are yesterday's news. Tomorrow belongs to the old. Great headline, right? Here's some of the highlights of this of this article, and there's a full study and a report. We don't need to go into that. Here's what we need to know. The world's biggest spenders are people nearing retirement and the elderly. So they are calling that group the 60 to 75 plus, okay? So those 60 and older will drive consumption. Listen to this. The glamorization of youth by marketers and advertising buyers is a vestige of the past. The real power globally lies with the 60 plus age group, who will contribute more than 1/3 of global consumption growth. So we know that our home improvement customer skews older. They skew older. So when we know this, we know a couple of things, right? We know kind of more or less kind of who they are and how they skew. Now we can develop messages that are more compelling for them, and we can use the right media to get to them, right? So one of the things that I talk about all the time, anybody that has seen me speak or been a part of any of our things, or is even a client of ours, knows that this is what we're all about. Since we all agree marketing lead generation is not only about getting more, is not only getting more expensive, it's getting harder to get your sales reps to the kitchen table, doesn't it make sense to get more results from each and every customer? Absolutely. So what are those opportunities? You know, so those opportunities are, how do we get them to buy more stuff, right? Because once they are a buyer, they are a buyer. A buyer is a buyer. A non-buyer is a non-buyer. It amazes me how much money we all spend. And I'm going to throw myself in the same category. I've done all this before. I've made every mistake there is to make, right? Well, maybe not everyone, but a whole bunch of them, right? But what was I going to say about this? Oh, I've learned this stuff the hard way. I mean, I know that we've got to get more results from each and every customer. So we got to get them to spend more and buy more. Oh, I was saying a buyer is a buyer, a non-buyer is a non-buyer. Oh, I was going to say, it amazes me how much money is spent on people that will never buy, that are just not buyers, right? And so we want to get more results, get them coming back, and we want them talking about us to other people. We want, once we get that customer, here's the big mistake that most businesses make, not just us in the home improvement business, but every business makes this. And think about it, is they're not doing enough to cage that customer in, to make that customer theirs, to protect that customer from the competition, right? So what I want to introduce to you is a marketing tool, the one marketing tool that I think every business should have. And it's going to address some of what we're talking about here, market message and media, okay? So let's go back a little bit. There was a time when people loved to get mail, real mail. Sorry, that's my bulletproof coffee. There was a time when people loved to get mail, right? But then this happened. So how many people remember your mailboxes looking like this? It was terrible. It was like it started like in the 90s and in the 2000s, especially in the run-up from the 2000 to 2008. Remember how much, for those of us that were homeowners back then, I mean, every other piece of mail was a mortgage thing. The mailbox was flooded with competition. Around the time that was happening, this started to happen, right? So mailbox consumption was, or activity, competition was going way, way up, physical mailbox. And then they introduced this new thing called email, right? And so now we're getting hit with in the mailbox, but we started ignoring that because we wanted this, you've got mail. And we'd get, how many emails would we all get a week? 3 or 4, and we'd run to get those emails. That's when me and Addie met, by the way. I mean, this is going back, obviously this is taking you back a long way, but this is how we communicated. Was she would turn on her computer at the end of the day, you've got mail. And sure enough, there was one email there from me, and I would do the same thing. That's how we kind of communicated. But then this damn thing came about. And this is what it looks like now for people, right? Ridiculous, right? Now, the millennials, they love this shit. This is their thing. They've got, not only do they have all their mail going, they've got their text messaging going, they've got their WhatsApp going. My kids are on that Instagram and the what's the other one? Snapchat and all this other crap that most of us probably don't like very much, but think about even our customers. Now, our customers, some of them like the whole Facebook thing. Some of them like email, and they are using email. I'm not saying that email is not an effective strategy. What I'm saying is it has become very, very noisy, and there's a lot of competition there. I mean, just think about how many emails you delete every single day without even looking at them and reading them, right? So where does that leave us? Well, where that leaves us is kind of going backwards. One of my favorite movies, by the way, Back to the Future, right? So we got to go back to the future. So where does that leave us? It leaves us back to the mailbox. And what is the one thing that we can put into that mailbox that we own, that we control, to the right people? The company newsletter, right? So the company newsletter is cool because there's so much less competition in the mailbox today, right? But one of the things we have to be careful of, and people ask me about this too all the time, is trying to make direct mail work. It's difficult. It's tough to make cold direct mail work. However, direct mail to your customer is one of the most effective things that you can do. It is one of the most effective things that you can do, and it's going to accomplish quite a bit for you, okay? So why a company newsletter? So here's some of the reasons why a company newsletter is so good for you and how it will grow your business and your bottom line. So we talked about this earlier. It will help you increase the number of times your customer does business with you. It increases the number of referrals your company gets. It'll help you introduce new products and services, help you build relationships with your customers, which is critical. It'll keep your customers away from your competition. Think about this. Think about this. One of the things that is going on right now is, again, I'm going to go back to the freshest conversation, and it's and I have the same conversation a few times a month. But yesterday, the conversation I was having with my client that's probably doing, I think they're at, I don't know, somewhere between $15 and $20 million a year, right? He knows everything his competition's doing, and guess what? His competition knows everything he's doing except for whatever he's delivering through the mailbox to his customers. Because that, my friends, is a stealth strategy. It's under the radar. So like, for example, he was telling me about, he was at the mall getting glasses. Well, guess what? One of his competitors had a kiosk at the mall. And so what does he do? Right? Smart businessman that he is, he's waiting for his glasses, goes up to the kiosk. Hey, what have you got going on here? Listen to the pitch. How many leads are you setting in a good day? Got that number, right? How do you get paid? Got every number. There was 1, 2, 3 ways they got paid, okay? He got it all. He got everything he needed. He was there, I don't know how long he was there, but it was kind of funny. We were laughing about it. But that is completely transparent. Now, Some companies have some secret sauce in there, no doubt. But if I'm running an advertisement, right, and I'm running this advertisement, and you know that I'm one of the big players in the market, I'm running this ad over and over and over and over again, and I'm using this particular offer, what did I just do? I just tipped my hand at what offer is working. Well, if you have a program for mailing to your customers, you're flying in under the radar because your competition is not getting that piece. So they don't know what offer you're making. They don't know what product and service you're pitching. They don't know about your referral program, right? The other thing it does is it helps you stay top of mind with your customer. So this, again, I have these conversations all the time, but this one's fresh. It was from yesterday. This client does newsletters with us, right? You can do them with us. You do them on your own. I just want you to do them, okay? But he does them with us. And he says to me, the reason he does it, the number one reason he does it, and every time we talk about it, he tells me the same thing. Brian, I don't want to go to somebody's house like I have in the past, and they say to me, oh, hey, come and check out the new windows I just installed. And he says, well, why didn't you call me? And they say, I didn't know you do windows, right? You got to stay top of mind. You got to continually be reminding your customer of who you are, the solutions you provide, and how to get a hold of you. Constantly be reminding them, because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of noise on TV, on the radio, on the internet, and if they want something else done, they may forget about you or not know you do it and get seduced away by your competition. I use that word, by the way, I use that word purposely, seduced away, right? Because that's how it happens. They don't mean to be disloyal. They don't mean to go to your competition. They just go because you let them. You let them. I let them, right? So we can't do that. So we got to stay top of mind. We got to be there in front of them. And the other thing about newsletters is they're physical. They have staying power, okay? So one of the beautiful things about this is that the mail has to be touched. Somebody has to go to a mailbox and take it out. They have to shuffle through it. Now, there's two kinds of mail. There's A pile and there's B pile, right? So A pile, I'm actually looking for something on my desk that would be, you know, I don't have any mail on my desk. But if I was to go to the mail, our mailbox over there, and I would say, okay, here's A pile and here's B pile. B pile is obvious junk mail. This is from people you don't know. It screams at you. It's a stupid big postcard. It's whatever. No good offer, you know, boom, automatically goes right in there, right? Then there's A pile mail. A pile mail is from people you know. It's bills. It's stuff that needs to be dealt with. That's where you want to be. You want to be an A pile. Now, if somebody recognizes your name and you show up in a friendly format, you end up in A pile mail, okay? People recognize the time and investment required to send a real piece of mail. It stands out to them. It's real. It's tangible, okay? And if your messaging is right, it can be very successful. So again, I want to go back to what we did earlier when we talked about who is our customer. Who is our customer? Somebody left a comment in the question box, and I think we covered it. But nowadays, people just junk their email. Yes, they do. So that's right. So we want to make sure that we are showing up in other ways. So think about this. Again, I want you to think about this really hard. Who is your customer today? Now, I'm 48. I'm going to be 49 this year. I was born in 1968. I was 30-ish 30-ish, when the internet started to come around. Now, I'm very good. I'm pretty technically savvy, I would think. However, I prefer mail. I prefer a newsletter to be mail. So this is one of the newsletters that I get. It's from Dan Kennedy. Well, guess what? It's physical. It's a physical printed piece of mail. If he was to send this to me in an email, chances are very good I'm not going to read it. But this right here, not only have I read it, but I've also been able to go through and make notes and make highlights in there of what's important to me. Now, this is a little bit different than a consumer newsletter, but the idea is the same. Now, the older people skew, right? Like my parents, my mom is looking at shit on Facebook. She's not reading anything on Facebook. She's just looking at stuff on Facebook, right? But when they have a couple of newspapers that they get, there's like, for example, there's this newspaper called the Armenian Observer. It's like, it looks like something out of the 1940s. They get it, I get it, and it's like actually a newspaper. It's like 20 pages or something. But you know what? It's physical. It shows up. They read that shit cover to cover, right? They like stuff to be delivered to them that they can look at and that they can read, right? This is your customer, right? They will use the internet. Yes, they will use their email. But you got to be in their mailbox too, because they're going to miss your email. Chances are good they could. Our results with email are pretty damn good. We have an open rate between, depending on the client, between about 25% and about 34%. That's friggin' huge. But take the high number, right? That's still 66% of people that never open the email. When you send a piece of mail, somebody has to look at it and open it. Can they junk it? Can it go B-pile? Of course, right? But they have to look at it. They have to see your name. They have to see your brand, right? By the way, this is where you build brand on the back end. Branding is only a byproduct. You don't use it on the front end because it just doesn't, well, I won't get into all of that. I have a whole rap about that. But who is your customer? So look, while the millennials may be all over that social media stuff and all over their devices, your customers still like stuff they can touch and they can feel. Remember, the reason why advertising fails is either we're sending the right message with the right media to the wrong market, or I mean, it's any combination of these things, right? I could get the market exactly right. I could get the media exactly right. But if I mess up on the message, boom, it's done, right? So when we're putting together advertising and we're putting together marketing, these are the things we've got to consider, right? Market, message, media. So it fails because we're sending the wrong shit to the wrong people in the wrong way, right? But if we think about a newsletter, think about market. These are people that know you, they like you, and they trust you. They've given you money, okay? Message, what's the message? The message is friendly, the message is engaging. I'll show you how to put one of these things together. It's friendly, it's engaging, it's about them, not about you. The media, you're going right to their mailbox, right? We've already established there's a lot less competition there. This is a winner. This is market, message, media, winner, okay? So the other thing that I love about a newsletter is going back to market message media. So with all other media, it is all owned and controlled by somebody else. It can go away. It is by their rules. It is by, it's done through somebody else owning it. With a newsletter, with your communication to your customer, you own the media. You own the media, which means you control it. Which means that it's not going out of business unless you do, or you stop wanting to do it, right? But you control it. I want to control the media as much as possible, right? So look, the way that we get our business now is through events primarily, but you know what? Most of those events are owned by other people. I'm going to change that. So I'm going to start by owning my own media. One of the ways I'm doing that is through the Wealthy Contractor, right? And with the Wealthy Contractor, one of the cornerstones of it is going to be a printed newsletter, right? Because I can't rely on other people's media. Same thing with you. We have to rely on these other media. That's fine. That has to be available. That has to be out there. And we need it. But you know what? Let's start controlling our own media as well. I have a client that sends out every month, I want to say it's north of 6,000 newsletters to his, not only to his customers, but also to his referral sources. These are the people you want to send a newsletter to, by the way, your own media to. Referral sources. He puts his demo no sales in there and gets amazing results. Not tomorrow, not the next day, but over time. Centers of influence, people that may or may not be your customer, but are people that can introduce you to other people, right? So now you have a way of putting them on a list and targeting a message to them using your own media. That's exactly what he's doing. He gets amazing results. Like 70% of his business comes as a result of his relationships with his customers. And we're not talking about, a few $100 here. We're talking about millions of dollars. That 70% represents millions of dollars of business. Okay? So ultimately what I want to do is I want to protect my customers. I want to defend them against my competition. Right? Think about this. Who does your competition want as a customer? Who do you want? Remember earlier I said a buyer is a buyer, a non-buyer is a non-buyer? Well, there's a finite number of buyers. So if I'm in a home improvement company and I'm competing against you, you know who I want? I want the person that already spent money on windows. Because you know what? They'll probably spend money on gutters. They might spend money on a roof. They might spend money on siding. They might spend money on a bathroom, on a kitchen remodel, whatever. They've already done it. They've already hired a contractor. They didn't have their brother-in-law do it. They hired a real contractor. So you know who I want? I want that person. That's the customer I want, right? That's who you should want. So you got to protect that customer. When you get a customer, you have to protect them. You have to defend them from your competition. Because you know what? Left to their own devices, again, not because they're disloyal, not because they're bad people, it's because you let them get seduced away by your competition. So by having your own media, controlling your media, and sending them this media with your branding, your messaging, and information and materials that's relevant for them, that gives you a huge advantage, right? So here are some of the things that you want to put into your company newsletter. And we've been doing this for a really, really long time. Again, whether we do it for you or you do it on your own, I don't care. Do a newsletter. Do a newsletter. We've done these. for years and years and years. When we had our home improvement companies, quick story, we started in 2000 with the handyman business, right? And for the first 2 or 3 months, I leveraged all of my customers in my other home improvement company to essentially start up the next business, right? So I used these old customers and I now moved them over into this new company. Those first few months, every month there was a newsletter going out because I knew the strategy. Guess what happened? I stopped. Why? Because I got lazy, or there was other stuff to do, or I was placing ads and I was getting a whole bunch of phone calls. And so I didn't do a newsletter for 3 or 4 months. Then all of a sudden another one showed up to my customers. And then it was another couple months and another one went out, and then that was it. From 2000 until, or that was 2001, up until Addie came into the business in 06, I think, or 05, and she said, wait a minute, what's going on here? Well, how come you guys aren't doing the past customer stuff? And so she went and we did newsletters, and it completely transformed that business in terms of the repeat business, the referrals, and marketing costs. It brought our marketing costs way down. And so we follow a formula, proven format. We call it the Reader's Digest formula. Here it is. You have your own message to your customers. Could be as personal as you want, whatever. You know, the client I was telling you about earlier, where we do a monthly newsletter for him, he gets very personal in his emails, and they're in his message to his customers. And it's beautiful, but it's important to him, so he spends time on it. Okay? We include a recipe. We'll do fun facts. We'll do an inspiring quote. We do one home improvement article, one. If you own a roofing company, if you own a plumbing company, if you own a window company, nobody gives a crap about, you know, this type of new window glass and blah, blah, technical. They don't give a shit about that stuff. They're going to throw it away. Okay? The home improvement articles we do are maintenance. Here are the things that you need to do this season to maintain your home, or this month to maintain your home. That's the home improvement article we do. Remember, it's about them, not about you, right? We'll do a family-oriented or uplifting something. I like, especially over the last couple of years, we've changed it from, we changed the tagline to inspiring news for a happy and a healthy home, because we want to give people good news, right? And so we'll put an inspiring story in there. There's always an offer. Don't get me wrong. This is not just about, hey, wouldn't it be nice and friendly and touchy-feely and all that. No, it also has to produce ROI, right? And so there's always an offer in there. And we have engagement devices built in. We have referral strategies built in to these things. But we want to, like, for example, with the referrals, one of the big mistakes that companies make is that they are not constantly reminding their customers about referrals. And so that's what we use this media for, is to constantly be reminding people about referrals. Okay? So this just kind of gives you a layout. Again, just do it. You know, I've given you the formula here for doing it. Do it on your own. Let us help you do it. Whatever. I don't care. Just, I want to see you do it for all of the reasons that I've been giving you throughout our talk here. Now, I will say this. I mean, if this is something you're interested in talking with us about, we do 4 printed newsletters a year. And the great thing about these is that they're standalone and they can be customized to a certain extent. You'll just have to talk to us and see if this is something that'll fit for you. But we do a printed newsletter 4 times a year for most of our clients. We have a few that do monthly, but for the most part, we'll do 4 a year. So January. So we're just right now, as we speak, there's tens of thousands of newsletters that are starting to go out of our facility to customers all around the country. So that's the January newsletter. We do an April newsletter, a July newsletter, and an October newsletter. So we hit 4 times a year with a print newsletter, and then we actually do 12 times a year with an email newsletter. So I think the two work very well together, and so that's why we'll do both, and I recommend you do both as well. And by the way, the email newsletter follows the same format. The email newsletter follows the same format. It's not all about you. It's got to be about them. Include a recipe, include some fun facts, just some light, entertaining reading. Keep them engaged, keep them entertained, have your brand in front of them, have your offer in front of them, and just be reminding them. Stay in their consciousness, stay top of mind with them, right? So questions. By the way, if anybody wants to talk to us about newsletters or just about any part of their business, call the office or go to the link that's there down below. Schedule a strategy session with us. It's no obligation. We're actually doing a couple of really cool new things now. So starting in 2017, our strategy sessions are a little bit different. What we're doing is we're using a tool that we've developed over the last year called the Opportunity Map. It's actually the Wealthy Contractor Opportunity Map, where we ask you about 8 key areas of your business that drive profit. And we create a map to determine the opportunities that exist in your business. So there's some things that are really important in your business that aren't being done well. There are some things that are really important that are being done really well. So we'll establish what's being done really well, what's maybe not being done so well, and we create a map. From the map, we go to a tool called the Performance Improvement Matrix, and we'll ask you a bunch of questions about real numbers in your business. And then we'll see, okay, if we can make improvements here and here and here, what could that result in terms of sales, profits, and customers? Once we've got that, then we'll come back to you and give you, that's on the first call, and then the second call, we give you a custom growth plan that you can go and execute on your own, have your team execute, and in some cases, you'll have us do it for you. Quite frankly, you know, this is the way that this is a service we provide, because for every X number of these that we do, we'll get a client out of it. And it's fine. It's something that we do. Every one of these things is not necessarily a disguised sales pitch. This is a way for us to help you grow your business and determine whether or not, you know, how you can get this done. So questions. Anybody got questions? And that was right at about 45 minutes. No questions coming in? Okay, somebody's typing. No? I'm just waiting here. February 22nd. Let me remind you all again. Mark it on your calendars. You're going to want to be in Philadelphia for a very cool event. This is an owner's event, by the way. The owners can bring one either sales manager or marketing manager with them, or partner or key employee, something like that. But February 22nd, it's going to be right outside of Philadelphia. Keep that in mind. Really? Oh, it looks like some, oh, okay. There we go. Yeah. Are you broadcasting that? Oh, you're asking about the event. I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided if we're going to be live broadcasting that event or not, but we will let you know. The 3-day event is actually turning into a, rather than a 3-day telesummit, it's a 1-day live seminar. It's going to be friggin' awesome. I got the top people in the industry with internet marketing, lead generation, sales, profit. We have a special guest speaker that's coming in that's going to blow everybody away. He's awesome. Man, I'm getting more questions about the event than I am getting about newsletters. The live event is Wednesday, February 22nd. You will see an email in the next few days. Look out for it. It's going to be called Accelerate 2017 Live. Please sign me up. You got it. Okay. How do we decide to do the newsletter in-house or hire someone or company from the outside? That's a good question, Susie. It's hard to tell. It depends on, do you have the bandwidth and the staff to be able to put a newsletter together, number one. That's really what it's going to do. It all comes down to a function of time. The only reason people pay us to do anything is because they don't have the time to do it themselves. Now, I like to think that we do it better than most because of our experience. However, mostly it's because of the time issue. Most companies don't have the time. In fact, we're taking one over right now for a company that's been doing their own for, I don't know how many years they've been doing their own, and they just don't have the time to do it anymore. The person that was doing it for them isn't there anymore, and so we're taking that over for them. So if you want to have a conversation offline, let me know, but that's the best way. It's really, do you have the time to get it out consistently? Because here's the thing you don't want to do with a newsletter. You don't want to send one out this month and then do like I did way back and wait 6 months and then send another one and then not have another one show up for a month or 2 months or whatever. They must be consistent. There must be consistency to it. So if you're going to go on a schedule, you got to follow that schedule. Come hell or high water, if this is your date, just like with us, it's middle of January, middle of April. Everything is like, we have hard deadlines, and it is in the mail on those days. So that's hopefully that answers your question. How do you know if they're giving you a good price, good value? It depends, you know, when we had our home improvement company, we actually ended up franchising it, and we had franchisees all around the country, and I was looking for help with marketing. And so one of the things that I knew we needed to do was a newsletter, and this was in between Addie and me, right, when Addie came in and took it over. And so the people that I was working with, they took me to this marketing agency. This marketing agency, we're talking over 10 years ago, charged me $5,000 just to create like a shell of a newsletter. This is no writing of articles. This was no, and then every time we did one, they wanted another $5,000 to put it together, which was just absolutely flipping ridiculous. But I had to pay it because I didn't have the time to do it. So the thing is that if you're doing it on your own, you want to follow a format and either give it to an in-house designer. And if you're using an in-house designer, if you've got a kind of a template you want to follow, and we do a 4-page plus an insert, right? So it's 4 panels of 8.5 by 11, and it's the same kind of format. It's just all the content boxes change, And so if you're going to, the first time they put that shell together for you, maybe they're going to charge you $500 to $1,000, and then each time they go in to make the changes, if they're going to spend 10 hours maybe on it, that's another $500 or so. And then you have printing and mailing on top of that. So those are kind of the things you've got to figure out. Again, I'd be happy to help you with that. What's the average time you spend on developing your newsletter? Well, me, about 10 minutes. My staff, a lot of hours. I'm not exactly sure. I couldn't tell you. But like I just was telling Susie, you know, it might be 20 hours with a designer to set up the initial template, and then it might be 10 hours thereafter to create the actual customized version of the newsletter. If you do it, we do everything. We do it from beginning to end, design to even the offers. We come up with the concepts and the design and all of the writing and all of the articles. And basically, for some clients, they never even see it. It just shows up to their customers January, April, July, and October. For some of our other clients where we do more custom work, they just have to, you know, give us 5 minutes of feedback, and that's it. So that's how we do it. Do we set up tracking to measure effectiveness? Absolutely. Susie, you said ludicrous. You're either calling me ludicrous, which I don't think, or you're calling that marketing agency I hired ludicrous, which I would absolutely agree with you on that. It was a really bad part of you're saying no. Oh, the marketing agency, thank you. Thank you. I didn't think it was me, but I'm glad it's not. Yes, $5K per newsletter is, yeah, it was nuts. Thank you, Susie. Canada as well, reach out to us. I have a new, I've had some issues with Canada, but when it comes to newsletters, I work with somebody up there who could probably get it fulfilled for you. So just let us know. They value my efforts more doing things this way. I believe the newsletters will help. I will contact you. Great. Love it. All right, everybody. So you guys waited a few minutes and then all of a sudden barraged me with a whole bunch of questions. Thank you, David. You're very welcome. Philadelphia, February 22nd, David, be there. You'll love it. Okay, so thank you, everybody. We'll make the recording of this available in the next couple of days, but reach out to us. We'll be happy to go through a full Wealthy Contractor strategy session for you, especially now, January, you know, to help you set up for 2017 and help you identify where there is opportunity for sales growth, opportunity for profit in your business, and we're happy to help. All right. Recorded webinars, yes, we will. Wow, what a beautiful name, Symphony, with an IE at the end. Symphony. If you are on our Wealthy Contractor list over the next couple of months, we will start giving you access to old webinars, not old, but like from recent webinars, and you'll have access to all of them. Give us a little bit of time. If there's any one in particular that you are interested in, just send us a quick note, and we'll make sure we send you a link to that. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome, all of you. Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you all again soon. Thank you.